called SIDA, which was also initiated, and our India, several other countries, India is one of the countries, signatories of the country. And this was followed by, I was talking about Beijing Platform of Action in 1995, which was the fourth World Conference. So we had four important World Conferences. So why I'm bringing that? Because whatever the kind of women's progress and development is happening, and we are also experiencing, that is because of the women's movement, the contributions of the women's movement on the one hand, and the associated conferences, world conferences. So far we had four conferences. So the first World Conference on Women, I'm moving the slides, hope it is moving. So the first conference was held in Mexico, 1975, where it was defined to the World Plan of Action for the implementation of the objectives of the International Women's Year. Because 1975 was also declared as the International Women's Year. So the mandate was to take that, whatever defined in that Women's Empowerment Year, International Year, was the agenda. 1980, we had the conference happened at Copenhagen, and that is the second World Conference, Women's Conference. And there it was reviewed the progress in implementing the goals of the first World Conference, because we set something on the Mexico conference that these are the things to be achieved, and that was again checked. Then program of action called for stronger national measures to ensure women's ownership and control of property. So in the very second conference itself, it was underlined that the ownership and control over resources is a major requirement, and that is also an impediment for women's development. So there we could have some inheritance law, child custody, nationality, etc. The third World Conference for Women, the World Conference on Review and Prize Achievements of the UN Decade for Women, took place in Nairobi in Kenya, 1985. So in the first World Conference itself, we have mentioned that International Women Empowerment Year, and we have set some goals, and this conference really assessed whether it is all happening or not. Then so the very objective of that conference was to establish concrete measures to overcome the obstacles in achieving the decades, the Women Empowerment Decade goal, where there were 157 countries. And the fourth conference, and that was the final World Conference, that was held in China, Beijing. It is fondly called as Beijing Conference, and now it is 30-year-old. Recently, we had our workshop also on 30 years of Beijing Platform Action. So there are 189 countries, and in that fourth World Conference, taking stock of what had happened under the three conferences, the 12 critical areas were highlighted. So that I have just listed here the critical areas. It talks about women and poverty, education and training of women, women and health, violence against women, women in armed conflict, women and economy, human rights of women's rights, women in media, women in decision making, then institutional mechanisms for the advancement of women, where human rights of women was one of the major criteria. Then women and the media. And the 11 was about women and environment, which was now very much discussed, but in 95 it was just the beginning of that discussion, so it was included. And finally the girl child. So all these you can see reflected there in the National Empowerment Policy for Women 2001 also of India, and it will be because all the 189 member countries are supposed to be adopting this, and therefore these are the 12 critical areas. Apart from that, we also had Millennium Development Goals, but now by 2015 we could not attain the Millennium Development Goals, and therefore we moved to Sustainable Development Goals. It was also to kind of what I should say, there were some kind of issues in terms of achieving the or engaging. Particularly, there was a rural-urban divide. And there has also been, what I should say, now you know that after COVID, what kind of divide, digital divide also, if there are two children. I know you would have yourself be the victim. If there are two children, both boys and girls, studying, when it is coming to the question of accessing the mobile to attend the classes, parents also preferred the boys to attend. And the girls, even my own student, when I was there in Bhatidas University, when we conducted the class for PG students, the students who stayed in the neighborhood, they could to stay in their friend's place and attend in one device. That is what, because when we asked, they said, no, my brother also is studying, therefore that device was given to the boy. Of course, school going boy and here college going girls. But this is one example. There were a number of examples proved by the various studies conducted also. Okay, then so it was also talking about role of men and boys, because it is high time that it is we have to also engage men and boys. We can just take girls and women, they know what are their problems, and of course transgender also is very important, because that is, we have accepted that there are a whole lot of gender spectrum which talks about LGBTQT, A plus. So you have lesbian, the gay, the cures, totally called as cure. Yeah, they are neither boys nor girls, but they transition from boy to girl or went to women and transition from women to men. And thanks to government of Tamil Nadu, also, and also even Kerala and some other states, they have recognized their rights and they are providing equal rights to all of them, and even the application form also. So these are all the kind of inclusion in the also human rights include. It is in the perspective of human rights, we have to appreciate all this. Then population and migration. You would have noticed during COVID how the migrated population suffered. They were, because of the absence of transport, they were sleeping on the platform. The companies could not, big corporates, no, even in Tamil Nadu, the textile companies, they could not retain the laborers because of lockdown, and they had to go, because many means more than 50%, 60% migrated population workers, particularly men and women, and of course families, even including children. They were all down from northern region, northeastern also, even Nepal also, Bihar, Orissa, Rajasthan, in northeast Assam, etc. So they, I mean West Bengal also. So mostly Jharkhand and Bhubaneswar, that is the Orissa. So these people, they could not get the facilities, and there were also state initiatives to provide the train, etc. But they are not sufficient, and they had to walk. And several men and women were walking, and there were no proper toilets, and including children, the women who are pregnant, women who were pregnant, and women with children, etc., also had to walk, and we witnessed that in the TV, and how much the state I mean, supported, it was not actually sufficient, and they suffered. So in this context, I just try to connect that human rights is to be ensured, and women's rights, everything. There are discrimination, various areas, right? From, I can say, sex ratio to moving to the health and nutrition, the education, the literacy, the participation in employment, participation in decision making, then the rituals, cultural practices imposed. And create their own communities or associate themselves with the communities which where they can get recognized, and therefore that is again human rights violation, because this particular boy or a girl who born who fortunate enough to born in this family, not able to continue to live there, but rather because of the desertion, non-acceptance, move to somewhere which is really serving as an asylum, and it is all the community. And of course, thanks to the state, which is providing them shelter, providing them the rights to vote, provide them to access to the public distribution system, the ration shop, etc. But still there is a lack of acceptance. I think you would have watched the movie Deluxe, where it in the family, ultimately the hero who turned into the what you call transgender male to female, uh, the families were not and the family was not in acceptance, and at last it was accepted. So there are a number of such writings also, who you can accept still as a human being, leave alone whether you are a male or a female, and continue to stay. The minimum shelter is to be ensured, otherwise it's a human rights violation. So now with this, I'm trying to present the moving to the gender gap report, which is talking, because when I say that there is discrimination in the society, people will say, oh, now things are changing and you are saying that there is gender inequality, but the reality is different. So every year you have this gender gap report prepared. World Economic Forum prepares this as an official organization appointed by Niti Aayog, Government of Tamil India, to prepare this, and we have got for 24 also. So you can just see the figures, how it is working out. India is on the lowest from the bottom. It is just above the Maldives and Pakistan. It has achieved 64%. Bangladesh, which is, we say that it is poor country, it is a small country, but it has touched around 70, but and in Nepal, of course, but this India is only 64, and even Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, all those four countries are better performing than India, and India is just above Maldives and Pakistan in terms of gender gap, and it is the same, almost same, this similar in terms of Human Development Index also. And recent as per the 24, you can see we are on the 129th position. Of course, earlier we were there on 27th last year, because every year it is being conducted, and there are 146 countries. Out of 146 countries, you are on 129th position. It's not a very encouraging rank. Whereas last year you were 127. India stood at 127th position. But now this could be because of the other countries fared better and push down India further down, or India itself in some indicators would have performed very poor. So moving further, I think I will show some of the other statistics later, but coming to rights, because we were talking about human rights. Uh, so what is the actual goals of women's rights movement? Because every movement since 17th century onwards, there are writings by various feminists across the country, and mostly from the West, try to underline that women are not equally, or women are not getting equal rights, and that could be listed on in terms of education, health, whole public office, that is employment, and then fair wages. You are not getting equal wages, and there is no equal property, equal education, and not equal participation in the military and the family rights. All these were there. I don't say that now also it is present. I don't say that it is not present. It is present, but at least change is taking place. And based on the Human Rights Declaration and the CEDA, I was talking about other. I mean, there were lists of this thing, declarations, UN declarations, or the international declarations, or global, whatever. India also adopted to and became signatory to several UN treaties, and also worked on the constitution. So this particular slide talks about provisions for rights of women in India. So this is the basic question. Like, the constitution also ensures equal rights in terms of 5-6 articles. Article 15.1 talks about not to discriminate against any citizen of India, and Article 15.3 states about that the state is empowered to make any special provision. That is what we have. Some special schemes for women means that this Article 15.3 is by Article 15 of Section 3 is being used. And Article 16.2 talks about no citizen shall be discriminated against or be ineligible to what I should say is